Hi guys, welcome to The Money Ladder, a series of conversations between me and a few friends of mine who are operating at the top of their game. I want to find out about their experience of climbing the ladder to success. And today, our very first guest is someone who's a very dear friend of mine, a serial entrepreneur. He holds a Guinness World Record, and he's probably the coolest dad I've ever come across. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me to welcome Krept. Brother, how are you, man?
I'm good, man. Thank you for having me, bro.
Good to see you. No, listen, thank you for being here. I'm so excited for this conversation, right? Because we have conversations, and I've said to you that, you know what, we need to film one of these conversations.
We have so many conversations.
We have a lot of conversations.
And you always say that, I wish people just knew how, like,
Yeah.
you fought and you was. So we're like, yeah, now's a good opportunity, man. And congratulations.
Thank you, bro. Thank you.
Yeah, we've been talking about this for
We've
ages,
been
bro.
talking about this
and it's finally here, man. Like, so yeah, congratulations.
Thank you, man. Listen, thank you. And look, I'm glad that, you know, we've had the opportunity. I think a lot of people probably don't know the kind of the relationship or the history, but I've known you for almost 10 years now.
Yeah, ages.
Yeah.
Ages.
And for me personally, I think it's been incredible to see your growth as a person, as a businessman, now as a father. And hopefully the conversation today for us is really just to kind of talk about some of that, because I know that, you know, for a lot of interviews or conversations, people only focus on the highlights. But what I'm really trying to get out of this is what are the details that people can actually learn from. So, you know, the Money Ladder book is about giving people the tools, not just the kind of highlights, but actually how do I improve myself as a person to climb that ladder to get to where I want to get to. So look, there's so much to talk about, but, you know, and I'm glad you brought up the point about, you know, I've always wanted to make people aware of just how detail conscious you are. And I don't think people understand this, but Krept is somebody who really, really gets into the detail of stuff. And, you know, I work with entrepreneurs from all walks of life, people who've been doing business for decades and decades and decades. And I genuinely will put you on par with some of these people because, and this is something I'd love to get into, just how you got into this mindset to become just so detail conscious. But obviously the Money Ladder is about money, but it also talks about business. So we'll come on to talk about it in a minute. But just to kick things off, what was your experience growing up around money? What was your kind of first memories about money in general?
To be honest, yeah, like growing up, you know, it was just my mum because, you know, my dad, you know, he went to prison and this, that, and the fourth, and, you know, I was heavily reliant on my mum as a kid, and she's got multiple kids. So it wasn't like we was in a fortunate situation. It was hard, you know what I'm saying? And it was hard for my mum to do what she's doing and pay all the bills and this, that, and the fourth. And I'm talking from school, I realized this.
Right.
And, you know, when I was in school, at the same time, I was really empathetic about, you know, my mum having to spend on new school shoes, on, you know, you wanted the kickers, or you wanted the wallet, whatever it was. And it's like, you know, I understand that. I always understood that, you know, she's by herself and she's got to take care of everything. And I was just always like, I want to be able to just do things myself and not put stress on my mum.
Sure.
And that was my mentality from a kid. My mum always even says it now. She's always like, you've been too independent.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's like, I feel like I haven't been able to
Right.
be, you know, like do all these motherly things to you because you've just been so independent from so young. And, and I'm like, I know, mum, but that's just how I am. And my first kind of experience of even money was when I was at school. And, you know, you get, my mum used to give me like a couple pounds to go to school for school lunch and stuff. But then at the same time, I couldn't really get what I wanted all the time.
Right.
So I was like, I need to make my own money. And there was a rule at school in terms of like what they would serve you. Like they didn't do certain drinks that we liked or certain snacks that we liked. And there was all of this stuff. So I was just like, what if I go into Safeways, buy stuff in bulk? Because I always used to see bulk buying stuff in Safeways. And I was like, what if I do that, individually sell it, and, you know, charge a little premium? You know, if I buy it for this, and I started doing the math. I went in there, started doing the maths. Okay, this costs this. I get 6.
How old were you at this point?
I was probably in like year 9.
Wow.
So
you was
like
the school entrepreneur from then?
Yes, I was like 13, I think. 13, 14. So like year 9, year 10.
Yeah.
And yeah, I started buying everything in bulk.
Right.
So canned drinks. So I'd get like the Fantas, the Cokes, the stuff that people couldn't get. I'd get the crisps, the snacks, the sweets. And then I had a little book bag and I just used to fill it up with loads of snacks. And then I worked out how much I spent.
Wow.
And then, you know, because I saved money to buy the stuff in bulk, innit? Yeah. And then I started selling it, making a profit, going, buying more. And then before you knew it, I was the snack man. And then I just used, and then I used to do that, and I used to make quite good money. And then I started like buying my own shoes, and I was able to just, you know, pay for things myself. And I started, and that was kind of like my first real experience of like, all right, if I buy something and sell it or whatever, and found an opportunity, a little gap in the little school market. You know what I'm saying? And that was like my first, real experience of like entrepreneurship anyway. Yeah. So
amazing. And what's crazy about that is in the book, there's a character who has a very similar story where they are the playground entrepreneur. They were buying and selling things, and that was their first kind of taste into that. So maybe there's a theme here of people who go on to become entrepreneurial that it does start really early.
I even, it's mad, it's crazy, because from that, it was started giving me more ideas. And then I remember I was saying, we need a social room in the school. Right. Like where we can do table tennis or just little activities or whatever. Yeah. And the school said, we can't afford it. Right. So I set up a scheme with the students. Wow. Like, so I had a sheet with everyone's name on it. Yeah. And then everybody would give me like 20p or 10p contributing towards it. Yeah. And then I'd collect it like every week. Yeah. And then I built up enough money to go and get all of the stuff that the school said they couldn't afford at the time. Yeah. And I remember I handed it into reception and said, here's the money. Wow. And they never did anything. They just took the money.
And just kept it.
And everyone's on me like, what's going on? I'm saying I've given the school the money. Like, what's going on? But yeah, it was weird because it was like, that gave me like the fire for like, you know, doing things. And I did that, but the school never did anything with the money. Yeah. But everybody kind of was like, just understood and was like, the school, how can it? And we used to just pester them about what's going on. Yeah. And they used to kind of be like, we'll do it, we'll get the stuff. And I think, you know, after summer holidays, come back, everyone's forgotten again. Everyone's forgotten again. Yeah, it was still early signs of, you know.
Sure, your abilities and capabilities. And I think it's interesting. It says a lot about you as a person and your character. But in one of your interviews, you mentioned that when you were a kid, you always wanted more, even though you grew up in an era where perhaps, you know, there was, you know, violence or there were people doing things they shouldn't be doing, etc. You said that you always wanted more for yourself. So where do you think that desire came from?
I think it's more just, I always think about the long term with things. Okay. And I always used to think like, if this happens, in the long run, this is going to affect this and this and this. Wow. So I always used to just think and make conscious decisions based on that. And I feel like, you know, when you're young, everyone just thinks about now. Like what's going on now. Yeah. I've just always been a forward thinker, like, okay, what's the consequence of this, of this, of this? So I've always, and then, you know, thinking if I do this stuff now, I'm going to benefit from it later. So I've always been like a, you know, a long-term person. Sure. I've never been someone that is here for the quick. Right. And so I kind of apply that to everything I do.
Yeah. And that's a rare trait because, you know, one of the things I talk about in the book is around delaying gratification. In the modern era, social media era, everybody wants now, right? And if it's not now, then it's no good. And, you know, people are trying to become overnight successes and people are trying to skip the hard work of, you know, building experience and they just want it now. I think that's really good to hear from someone like you who a lot of people look up to, that actually you've always had that mentality of playing the long game.
Yeah, 100%, man. Yeah. You can really get caught up trying to get everything now immediately. Yeah. You rush things. Yeah. You don't make conscious decisions because you're thinking about now rather than, is this the best decision right now? Right. Or am I better off doing this later? Or am I better off putting a bit more work in and getting a better result? Sure. I feel like, that's been such an important factor in everything that I've done, man.
Yeah, and you can see, because I think everything you do, your execution and delivery, you can always tell there's a lot of thought that's gone into it. But just going back to, I guess, your upbringing, you also mentioned in one of your interviews that, you know, your mum was always proud of your academic abilities. You know, you are an academic person, you're an intelligent individual. And you mentioned that she would always used to kind of tell people about how smart you were, right? What do you think that did for your confidence?
It was good because it just made me feel like she was like manifesting that I was as well at the same, because she would just be like, so smart, you're so clever, did it?
Yeah.
And I used to think, yeah, I'm so smart, I'm clever, and then it used to make me want to, you know, show her like, yeah, look, I'm like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. I feel like that's important, man. So like, I've started doing that with Nala, just manifesting. You're so smart, you're so clever. Right. You know, when she does something, or she says, this is how you spell this, and I will just make sure she knows that's so good that you know how to do that, so that she wants to keep learning. Yeah, so it's rewarding the positive behaviour. Yeah. And that was what was important in terms of my mum. She always used to say, you're so smart. Tell people he's so smart, he got this. So it made me want to just keep that up for her, do you know what I mean? So, yeah. So you talked about, so kind of moving up slightly further into your upbringing, you talked about being a playground entrepreneur, you know, selling items around the school. Do you remember what your first actual paying job was? First paying job? Yeah, I think I was delivering letters for there was like a Indian takeaway shop at the end of my road. Yeah. And I went in there and I said, do you need help with flyering? And they was like, no. And then I was like, yeah, but I can take it to this area and whatever. And then they was like, okay, cool. And then, yeah, I started doing flyering for them. I can't remember how old I was, but this was before I can even get a job. Really? Yeah. And they just paid me in cash. Wow. And yeah, that was my first like little pay-in. So that was on your own initiative to go and approach the shop and say, listen guys, I think I can offer you a service. Yeah, basically. And yeah, that was my first, like, you know, I'd say it's off the books, innit? Because it wasn't really like... sure. You get me? But yeah. Entrepreneurial in a way still. Yeah, still, it was hustling. I was hustling, you get me? So, yeah, amazing. And then you went on to get your degree, finance and accounting. How do you think that then set you up for the next phase of your life? Because, you know, I remember you saying at one point, you know, you got the degree because your mum really wanted you to kind of complete your studies. So you did that for her, but surely that's helped you as well. Yeah, I definitely did that. Because something happened where she felt really disappointed. Right. And then I remember her saying she felt like she failed. And then I was like, nah, I'm not having this. Yeah. And then it drove me to do that. But at the same time, because I was doing accounting, like it kind of just, you know, put my mind in that process of accounting. So when it was a case of when we started doing well in music, I was always able to kind of implement the stuff that I learned in uni when it comes to numbers and just being conscious of money and accounting and knowing that you've got to do this, pay that. Right. So I've always been able to kind of be aware of that, because some people might get money, but they're not aware of other things that may occur with this. You know, they don't really teach you about taxes and stuff that you need to do and pay and all of this stuff. So I kind of knew about that from that. So, you know, when I did get my first big lump sum of money, it was like, okay, I've got this numbers here, but I know how this works. Right. And I know this isn't the final number, do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's easy to kind of, that's how you see a lot of successful people or musicians get money and then they're in trouble with the HMRC and this, that, and the fourth, and I was just always conscious of that. Yeah. So I've always just kind of been, you know, like forward thinking when it came to that. So yeah, man, it definitely helped. It's crazy because it's like it's not like it teaches you how to be an accountant. Sure. You know, you have to go on to be a chartered accountant afterwards, and then you really do it. But in terms of it was basics. Business, accounting, finance. It was kind of like a mix of all of that stuff, and you know, learning basic stuff about business, finance, and accounting. I feel like I was able to take the best of all of those and kind of just apply it to whatever came my way. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Because at the end of the day, even though I'm a musician, it's still a business. Sure, that you're running. Course. Yeah. So And so, in terms of that experience, what is your view? Because one of the biggest things people now kind of struggle with is, do I bother going to university? Do I bother learning? Because I can go and become an entrepreneur and I can make money the quick way, or I can be creative and I can make money that way. What's your view on that? I have a mixed view on university. Okay. I feel like with university, if it's something where you need to go down that route to get to where you need to get to in terms of whether it's, you know, that's required for you to become and do, you know, law, because you need to go to university, get your degree, and able to go to the next step. So, but I genuinely feel like you can learn, like physically learn things at the same time. And I feel like, you know, I know a lot more successful people that didn't go, this is the thing, that didn't go to uni, that learned trades from when they left school and college and just learned trades and built. And as well, those people, because they was physically on the ground doing stuff, you know, they're 3 years ahead really. When you come out of uni and you're 21, but they left college at 18 and they've been in the field.
It's almost like an apprentice.
Yeah, and they've got the experience, like the real life experience, because at the end of the day, even, you know, as you know, like hiring certain people, just because they've got a degree doesn't mean they're the best at what they're doing. And I've hired people that have got
highly
degrees,
qualified,
everything on paper, incompetent.
And
then I've hired people that don't have a degree, but they've got the experience, they've got the work, and they've done it. And I would rather that person. And I know so many successful people that have gone down that route. So me personally, if it's just a degree for the sake of a degree, not because you need to get that degree to get to where you want to get to, then I would say no. But if it's that's the path you need to get, you know, the job or whatever it is that you're trying to do, then I would say yes, obviously, because you need to, you know, degree, you might need your masters and this to get that job. But the practicality, I'm for the practicality of things and just learning how to do something. Do you know what I mean? Like people just, you know, getting on with it and learn how to do this and becoming a master at your craft. Because, you know, I don't think uni might necessarily teach you how to be a master at something. Do you know what I mean? Like, whereas, and then, you know, for example, you could learn everything that you need to learn in university for something, but then at the same time, someone that's actually on the ground experiencing it can learn just as fast, but even on a more practical way.
I guess it's the theory and the practical, isn't it?
Yeah, and I just think practical. Me personally.
So you're practical over theory.
In certain aspects. I'm really like just crack on and get on with it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I know so many people that might go to school and study drama. But then there's someone that went and got an agent and started applying for roles and they didn't go to university and, you know, study drama and all of this stuff, but they're now in the top roles in film because they was on the ground and just doing it. And I just feel like there's a balance. So
I did drama, by the way.
Did you do drama?
Yeah. I love performing arts. I love literature. I love English. I love the expression. Didn't go down that route. I became a banker instead, but you know.
But you get what I'm saying though. Like I feel like you can just really go for things if you get on the ground and do it, even if it's starting in a small role. Like I've met people that was, you know, just the runners. Become
of course.
the main person.
Yeah.
And that's just because they wanted the experience. They got in there and then grew within the company, and now, you know, they're doing great things. So I genuinely feel like the practicality of it is just as important, in my personal opinion.
And it's true. And I think sometimes it's almost the chicken and egg of people need you to have experience, but unless you get the opportunity to have that experience, how do you get that experience? So a lot of people have degrees and they study, they're well qualified, but they can't find a job, and sometimes they're overqualified. So I think it's a balance that people just need to figure out the right solution for them.
100%, 100%. But me personally, when I'm looking to work with people or hire people, like I do look at the CVs and I see loads of academic stuff. But then I'm like, have you actually been on the ground and done this role that I'm asking for? And if it's not as much, but you've got all the experience theoretically, then it's like, all right, cool. But then if someone comes and said, I was here, I've worked on this campaign, I've done this, okay. That is more my...
It's experience.
Experience.
It comes back to experience.
So,
Okay. Well, I mean, so
you can do both.
Yeah, you could do both.
You can do both.
And I think now that the world, you know, in the digital space anyway, it allows you to be able to flexible, right? But seeing that you're someone who's, you know, very sensible and kind of well structured, and it sounds like you were that way from your upbringing, how do you measure your financial success as a musician? Is it a case of okay, I want to get to a certain number, or what are the metrics you use as a musician that measures that success for you?
It's a weird one because, like, in music, there's always bigger.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's always, for example, you could be like, you know, I want my first. Because I remember when I was like, I want my first 100 grand. Then you get 100 grand. So I want my first. Do you know what I mean? Like, it just, the goalpost moves.
Keeps changing.
So, I don't know. I feel like I measure it based on, you know, me just being able to do what I need and what I want to do, I think, and being able to do that.
Right.
But then also, the thought of, have you set anything up musically, for example, that can outlast, you know, you as a musician?
Yeah.
And it's like, I always had that thought of, if I stop music, then does my money stop?
Right.
And I just didn't like that thought.
Okay.
Like, okay, if I stop doing music, then that means the money stops coming in.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? And obviously with music, you know, you get loads of big checks or big payments and this, that, and the fourth. But then you have to keep working to accumulate that, innit? So I started looking at it like, okay, what have I set up in this space where, regardless, that I would be able to either get passive income, because I'm a strong believer in passive income. Innit?
Okay.
For, like, you know, someone that's, you know, getting passive income constantly and secured passive income over someone that might get a check here, check there.
Right.
I feel like there's more stability in that. Yeah. And that's where, you know, you might start seeing artists becoming more conscious and thinking, oh, I need to own my masters, I need to own my rights, so I need to own these royalties, so that passive income, you know, can come. And then that's why you see so much people becoming aware of that. Because, you know, people get caught up in the checks. You throw checks at you and you're like, that's great, but when the checks stop, then, but I know everything that I've been working on is constantly turning over money, but if you're not getting that, then at the same time, that's me again thinking long term. Right. Whereas if you're a short term thinker, you think it's fine. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because you're fine realistically, because you're getting paid, you're getting a lot of money and this and the fourth. But I'm like, that's cool. But I always think, what if I stop doing music, or what have I set up for this, or the passive income side, or if I want to decide to stop, or I can't do music, or something happens where I'm not able to do music anymore. Right. And I just think about those kind of scenarios. So yeah, that's me, you know, I would say that is my version of measuring success as a musician. Like when you set things up where, you know, okay, I'm gonna, you know, I can stop doing music today, and whatever I'm built in this music space, I can keep getting paid for it. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And then I also started thinking about, what can I pass down from music if I wasn't here? Yeah. And then that was difficult, because it was like, what if my child doesn't like music? Okay. And doesn't want nothing to do with
And that was
music?
an active thought you had?
Yeah. I was like, what if she doesn't, nothing to do with music? Okay. Then it was like, all right, then I would at least need some royalties to pass down to them. Sure. So that there's that. But then, so then your mind starts thinking, okay, I need to do other things, and things that I am able to pass down, or, do you know what I mean? And, you know, business is a great way to do that, you know, passing down equity, passing down ownership, you know what I mean? So, yeah, man.
I love that. And I think that's one of the things that I really admire about you. I mean, I don't hear many rappers or musicians or entertainers in general talk about passive income or talk about, you know, wealth transfer, you know, which is effectively what you're talking about here. And again, in the book, I sort of break down those steps in terms of, you know, accumulating wealth, you know, generating wealth and preserving wealth, and all those different stages that people go through. So that's really interesting then, hearing your perspective about how you view success. What I think for me, maybe as a banker in a very kind of risk-averse, boring industry, but the perception of rappers and entertainers with jewellery and watches and cars and all that sort of stuff, is that sometimes seen as an investment on their behalf? As in, I've heard, you know, some of the Americans say, well, you know, they can write it off on their taxes or whatever else on their, you know. Is that ever a consideration that actually there's a financial reason behind doing this, or is it more just part of the performative nature of being an entertainer?
There's both. There is both. Like, in terms of, you know, you'll speak to a lot of people and say that might be buying like loads of watches, and
yeah.
you know, a lot of watches, these watches are holding their value now and stuff. So people might be like, I'm buying these watches, but it's still there. It's not. And some of these watches are doubling in price, and tripling in price. But at the same time, there is, you know, that aspect. But I personally feel like when people, as an artist, when you do buy your jewelry, you're investing into your image and yourself, and you know, feeling like a superstar. Okay. When someone walks in and you know they've got diamonds on it, and it creates that sense of I'm a superstar, I'm this. So I do understand why a lot of artists do get it. Okay. And then when they're walking in the room, and there's other artists in the room, and everybody looks a certain way, and you know, so I feel like if you're doing it to invest in just you and your, you know, your that star factor in yourself, then cool, innit? Like, but if you're spending your money on it, like all your money, just to look a certain way, then I wouldn't advise that. Right. Do you know what I mean? Like, do that stuff when you can really afford to do that stuff. Where it's like, okay, I'm buying this chain, this jewelry, because this is my reason for buying it, and I want to, you know, take on that superstar, you know, rapper, whatever it is that you want to, you know, that perception to be. Do you get what I'm saying? Yeah. So I do get that, and and I understand that for a lot of artists coming out, you know, they've probably already wanted to get that chain before they even got the money, and it was just like they're watching the rappers and they're watching artists, and they're just seeing the artists shining and watches, and everyone's got this, and it's like, so I understand when someone, you know, makes it in music and then they get their money and they want to go and, you know, start trying to buy these things. I do understand it, I really do. Yeah. But what I would always say is, like, think about it, make sure that if you're doing it, you can really afford to buy this thing. Sure. And, you know, if it's a part of your image and this stuff, and you can as well be smart with the purchases that you do buy, innit? Sure. Like, you can buy, you know, you do a little research in it, you can buy the right watch that, you know, at least times ever get hard, this watch has held its value. Right. You know, it's the equivalent of having, you know, money in the bank. You know, you put it in a watch, the money's still there, it's just in watch form. And you can always take that watch and sell that watch. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, there's risks with that. You know, you having, you know, assets on you and running around with expensive jewelry on is different. But at the same time, I do see both ends. I just feel like there's a balance in it. As an artist, you want to feel like an artist. And at the same time, as an artist, you need to be careful because, you know, music's like this. Of course. So 1 minute you can have all this money, and then if you just got jewelry to show for it, you're gonna look back and think, maybe I shouldn't have done that. But I think there's a balance to feel like, okay, I can afford to buy this. It's not gonna hurt me financially, so I'll buy it. But I just wouldn't advise. You know, there's people that will blow a lot of their money. Like, they'll spend half their money on it. It's like, what?
Like, it's the balance.
Yeah, it's the balance, man. Buy it, like, in you know, in your stride, and when you genuinely can afford it. If you want to, if it's a part of your image, and this is what you want to put forward as your image, and cool, I understand that. Do you know what I mean? So,
So you mentioned there about, you know, some rappers, they already have in mind that thing they want when they get the first big check.
Yeah, because I did.
What was that for you? I was going to ask that. What was that for you?
For me, it was the car. I wanted a nice car. Like, I just wanted a nice car, and I remember I was like, yeah, man, I can buy the car I want.
Was that the Mercedes?
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, I remember at one point, me, you and Konan had the same Mercedes.
Same cars. Yeah. The white. It was white.
The white one, not all white.
All white, man, was moving mad. Yeah. But yeah, for me, that was like, I just wanted to, you know, like, that was just more of a personal achievement, being able to get the car that I wanted to get. And so that's why I get it. Because I was there and I wanted to get that. And that was my thing when I first, And then at the same time, when I had that money, there was also other things that I wanted, but I just always thought, you know, you got your thing now that you're happy with. Now think about what you're doing and don't be too reckless.
Because it's important, isn't it, that people still have to be able to enjoy the money to some degree.
You got it, like, you know, working hard, and then you've never enjoyed it to then die. And you've worked so hard, you've never really enjoyed it. Obviously, there's people you might pass it down to that might enjoy it, but you should be able to enjoy your hard work too, man. Like, and feel good about it, like, and feel proud. Like, I was able to go and buy that nice car that I wanted to buy because I worked hard. Sure. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like there is a balance of doing things that and then just being smart with it. and making that last. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, under the right circumstances, I think people should be able to treat themselves.
100%.
And not hold themselves.
100%, but you always got to remember them bills are not going to stop.
No. No, they don't.
And people, like, because that's what I think about. I think about if you build your life to a certain degree of where you want it, can you now maintain this?
Yeah. People
for
forget that.
10, 20, 30 years.
Yeah. Particularly with houses, right? People buy a big, nice house, and once they've purchased it, then the reality kicks in of the bills, the mortgage, the maintenance. You might have a nice big garden. Do you know how much landscaping costs to maintain? And you're not going to be out there just, you know.
I was just like, why does this grass keep growing? And I just said, I want to get AstroTurf. I don't want no grass. I don't want nothing to do with any grass. I don't want nothing that I have to maintain.
Yeah.
But I was just thinking, like, so imagine on a scale like when it's just crazy like this. But it's a cost that you don't have to. People are not thinking about. You're just thinking about the house, but you've got to maintain this stuff forever as well. That grass is going to keep growing.
Keep growing.
Them trees are going to keep needing the shade.
Whether you like it or not.
You know what I'm saying? That council tax is due.
Yeah.
That, you know what I'm saying? It's going to keep coming and it does not stop coming. Yeah. You're always going to need to be warm in this cold England.
Yeah.
You need the heating on. Yeah. You need to pay the, you know what I'm saying? You want to always watch your Netflix. You want to always watch this. You want to always, you want to, everything. You want to keep doing this stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like, don't look at like, can you keep doing this stuff?
At this level.
At this level.
Yeah. So talking about, I guess, treating yourself and feeling good about the hard work that you're doing. When you look at your music career, what's been your proudest moment so
far? My proudest moment, I feel like will always be that Guinness World Record.
Right.
I would say one of. And the reason why I say that is because of everything that came with that in terms of, and everything, how the music scene was kind of before that and why we got that and then what happened after that. So, like in a kind of nutshell, it was like before we got that Guinness World Record, there was kind of a method to success in rap.
Okay.
Where it was like, you need to, get a deal, then you need to do, there was things you need to do, you need to make this kind of song to get on radio. This is what we was hearing. Right. So when we was coming up it was like, you need to make a song like this, people were suggesting, you might need a girl in your group and, to make a band and, you need to be like this person or that person. It was just so much of that, do you know what I mean? And for us, it was like, okay, we're not listening to this no more. We're going to make something, we're going to make music that we want to make for the fans. I don't care if it gets on radio, I don't care if it gets on TV, I don't care about none of the other stuff. Right. Just for the fans and what we love. And when we did that, that was the most success we ever had. So we put out something that we wanted to do without all the, limitations of, but this ain't for radio, this ain't. And then we did that. And then, being able to get a Guinness World Record for something that we decided that we're going to do to stop this, what you're telling us to do. To stop all of that and getting a Guinness World Record off the back of that. And then, the type of songs now that's on there that they're playlisting now. So they're putting Don't Waste My Time on radio, they're putting it on TV. And that for us was a massive deal because it was like, you said this kind of song wouldn't be able to go on radio. Yeah. And because we done it and it done well, they had to put it on radio. Right. And then it kind of opened up a lot more eyes to be like, okay, maybe this type of music, maybe it can be commercialized or I don't know, whatever it was. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I just feel like we added to that, do you know what I mean? Like there were so many artists before us as well. And it was like, I feel like everyone's played their part to like knock down this door. Sure. And I feel like, this was just our part of that. Yeah. Do you get what I'm saying? So our part of that
was your turn to break some barriers.
Yeah, like, and that's what it was. That's what it felt like to us. You know what I mean? It was like our highest independent charting album and it was a rap hip hop album that done that. It wasn't, another genre of music that's we're used to hearing on the radio or whatever. It was rap. Yeah. So for us, it felt like a real, groundbreaking moment for UK rap in general. Like it was so much bigger than us. So that's what that Guinness World Record felt like. It was bigger than us. You know what I mean? Like it would open, break down more barriers for more people to come through and keep breaking, because there's constant barriers that the next person's gonna come and break down another barrier.
Of course.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
This artist is gonna come break down another barrier, but we feel like this was our part to play in such a bigger story.
Yeah.
So that's why I feel like that would probably be one of our proudest moments, because of the backstory and just everything it meant behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Not even just the success of the Guinness World Record, but what that did behind the scenes.
Yeah.
I feel like that was definitely one of.
Yeah. Amazing. I mean, look, it's an incredible achievement, and I think it's also a testament to the longevity you and Konan have had in the industry, because not many people survive that long. But I think clearly staying authentic and true to yourselves, which is what got you on that pedestal to begin with, has kept you there. And I think people definitely recognize that. So you took your business kind of ingenuity as a kid, went into music, achieved amazing success, and then you've gone back into business. Tell me a bit about that first business you established with Konan, looking at Krept and Konan. What was the conversation that led you to agree that, yeah, bro, we're going to do this?
It's crazy, because it was just like, I think it might have been Nash that said it. He's just like, scared money don't make no money.
Right.
Or something like that.
Okay.
I think I was at, got that from a lyric.
It's a bar, yeah. Someone's bar.
Like, yeah, someone said that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just like, why not? You know what I mean? Like, I said that I wanted to do something like that. I think I tweeted it.
Right.
And I thought, me and Konan spoke about it and said, we just said, why not? Like, let's go for it and see what happens. And like, that is so crazy, because that was like the catalyst to really learning about business. Like, really, really learning. Because you think you know about business until you open a restaurant, mate. Yeah,
it's a tough one. You chose a tough one to begin with.
Yeah, you think you know about business.
Yeah.
Mate. Yeah, go open a restaurant and you will find out about business. But like, even with that, like what we learned, like I think every single thing that I learned it helped me so much in terms of my thought process in business and learning what is right and what is wrong.
Right.
Like, I got a lot of my knowledge from
your foundation.
My foundation of knowing about business was through that. Like, and I'll forever, like, it's so crazy, because I wouldn't even go back in time and change anything.
Right, okay.
Because of what I need. Yeah, because if I didn't go through all of these things, it might have happened at an actual worse time when I didn't know certain things.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, and now I was able to take all of that information and everything that I knew and learned from that, and translate it to other things. Do you know what I mean? And I was like, from what I learned from that, I was able to do this. Okay, I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. And then it was crazy, man. Like, craziest experience. So yeah.
But one that you felt you needed, because
I needed it. Like, it was like, that was like my real, like my practical test.
So let's just kind of dissect that a bit, because this is the kind of the meat of the conversation that I think a lot of people will take things from, really, in terms of understanding the realities of being in business. So firstly, when you got into business, right, you and Konan agreed, we're going to do this. Scared money doesn't make money. Let's do it. You've done it. What was the first real surprising thing about being in business? What surprised you the most? And what was the first thing that you thought, oh, shit, this is a different world?
The first thing is, like, the contingencies of anything can happen.
Out of your control.
Out of your control. So all of those, can you manage those things that are gonna happen? Yeah. And if you haven't prepared for that, and you, like, that could really be the end of it. Yeah. And with that, luckily we was able to be able to say, okay, this has happened. Okay, we need to because we was, you know what I'm saying, we had the money to be able to do that. But I know a lot of people will start a business and it's like, I need this to work and I can't afford for anything to go terribly wrong.
Right.
Maybe wrong.
Yeah.
Terribly wrong, no.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize how many terribly wrongs there could be in a business.
Yeah.
And like, do you know what I mean? Like you can prepare for things going wrong.
Yeah, one or two things.
One or two things wrong, but terribly wrongs.
Yeah.
Like, and that is just the reality of it. And I feel like I didn't know that so many things can go wrong. And then what was even worse is me speaking to other people that own restaurants.
Right.
And they said, yeah, that's how it is.
Normal.
Terribly wrong. You're welcome to the terribly wrong game.
Yeah.
Like, this happened. And I'm just like, what? This happened?
Yeah.
I'm saying, like, this is insane. Like, this is, can you imagine this happen? Yeah, that's normal. It happens. Just gotta bounce back. But then, yeah, so in terms of just knowing that contingency of what could go wrong.
Right.
And I feel like, yeah, I took that more. Like, all the stuff that went wrong.
Right.
But all the stuff that went wrong, I learned from.
Okay.
I made sure I learned from it.
Right.
And, okay, it went wrong. Why did it go wrong?
Right.
And then how do you stop this from ever happening again? Or how do you stop this from, you know, happening in the first place?
Right.
And I made sure I kind of learned
Yeah.
every mistake that I made and why the mistake happened.
What were some of the obvious mistakes? I know what you know now. What were some of the obvious mistakes you made when you started Krept and Konan?
Obvious mistakes. Okay, I feel like this is a mistake that a lot of people might make, but just the fact of hiring professionals.
Right.
And I mean professionals,
Yeah.
not people that you think, you'd be good at this.
Yeah.
No, as in like, they really know how to do this.
Right.
Because there was a lot of, because we were thinking it's our restaurant, we're hiring people based on just, you know, you seem like a great person, might not. There was a lot of that. Right. There wasn't like.
So goodwill.
Yeah, kind of, like, you know, feeling like, you know, just us, we can manage this. But it's not like, it was like, we not once had like a proper experienced person from that field with us in that space, like helping us navigate. Yeah. We was just learning it ourselves. Right. Yeah. Like every single thing that you could possibly, and I feel like, so that was like one of the biggest issues that we had, because when we're learning things, it's not even like we had a solution for it. Right. Because we didn't. No. Because we didn't have someone there that was an expert in this field. Right. That could say, no, this is what you're meant to do. Right. And this is how you're meant to do this. We was just doing it thinking that this makes sense. Yeah. But it seems like it makes sense to us, but we didn't know this doesn't make sense in this field of work. Sure. And because someone couldn't tell us this. Yeah. So that made me really value that one of your biggest investments in the company is your team. Right. Biggest investment. Yeah, for sure. Like without the people. Like you can think you can do. Nah, bruv, you can't just think, I can do this myself. Some people can, maybe. Right. But then I just don't think that's the case. Like a lot of successful businesses that are like, even when I was reading Shoe Dog. Yeah. And I swear to you, I think that company wouldn't be Nike without those people that he had. Yeah. Without those guys that was going on the roads and selling the 100%. Trainers. Yeah. All of these individual key people, like I took notice that these are the people that 100%. Made this brand be what it is. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, and you know, learning about the people behind the brand, the massive, you know, brands that we see today. There's key individual people that helped make this brand what it is.
But especially in the early days, just talking about Shoe Dog, he only had a few people, but they all had to really play their part. You know, when he started sending people out to different states to sort of open up shops here and there, and he had to count on them.
And do you know how I looked at it as well? I looked at it in a music sense. Right. Said, if I wanted to make a song by myself right now, I probably could. Okay. By myself, as in like, you know, try and make the beat. And
So the whole process, you mean?
Yeah, like as in, you can try it, but what would that end product look like? If you went and got a professional producer.
Got it.
You got a professional engineer to make your vocal sound great.
Yeah.
You are good at rapping.
Sure.
I can do the rap.
Yeah.
I'll stick to that. Right. This person, if this is the type of song, I need someone sick on the hook, maybe. Right. If this hook ain't, I can't get the best out of this hook, someone else can.
Right.
Then the person that mixes it, and then getting the best person that masters it.
Right.
There's how many different people, and then you need the person to film and shoot the video.
Yeah.
Now you want to get someone that's good at doing that.
Right.
Because that do you know what I'm saying? There's so many components to what makes the song great.
Of course.
Same thing with business.
Right.
And I started looking at it like that. There's so many things. So I've got a platform. I'm a musician and this. Okay, but am I the best at, you know, operating a restaurant? No, I'm not. Yeah. So why am I doing that? Why am I doing payroll?
Right. Yeah.
And all of this. Why am I doing that? I am not the best at doing these things. Yeah. Running the day-to-days of a restaurant. That isn't what I should be doing. Get someone that can do that. Right. Get someone that can do that. And get someone that can do that. And the best at these things, if you want a successful business. And I was able to learn all of that. And that's what I mean. That's why I said I would never take that process back of that, because I had to learn that and to be able to incorporate that moving forward. You get what I'm saying? So yeah, man, I'd say team, key. Yeah. As you know.
Yeah. Well, look, we'll come on to talk about. We'll come on to talk about more of your recent endeavors. But so you learned a great deal from that, you know, first experience, and for a lot of entrepreneurs, you know, or a lot of people, firstly, I think, is identifying your strengths and not trying to be jack of all trades.
100%.
Because, you know, I think sometimes people, there's this control element that they don't want to give any element of control away.
Throw that out the window.
Yeah?
Yeah, no, 100%. Because that is another thing, isn't it? People always start getting greedy. I know people hear that saying all the time, you know, getting 100% of nothing or a smaller percent or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a, you know, everyone says that, but that is facts.
Yeah, 100%.
It's facts. Yeah. Because you can have all the ownership that you want.
Yeah.
And if you ain't got the right people to execute this thing that you're doing, then that isn't valued at anything, is it really? There's no value in that. Yeah. But you get the right team and the key people and people that can really take this to the next level. Yeah. There's value in that. Right. And having a smaller, you know, percentage of that is, I would rather that any day. Yeah. Do you get what I'm saying? And yeah, so.
And this is coming from someone who's been through it, and honestly, I love hearing
Been through it.
Who've been through it,
Been through it,
yeah. You know, I've looked after entrepreneurs for decades now, you know, and I hear these stories, these, you know, trials and tribulations and how they overcome challenges. But for whatever reason, I describe it as a treadmill. Once you get on that treadmill as an entrepreneur, it's very hard to get off it. So you keep going, Come the challenges, you jump over them, keep going. So you got this experience from Krept and Konan, the restaurant. And despite how difficult and challenging it was with COVID and everything else came on, you thought, nah, I'm still an entrepreneur. I want more. Here comes Nada's baby. So talk to me about the experience that you learned from the restaurant business. And then when you finally sat down and thought, right, I'm going again. What were the immediate things you thought, okay, I need to get this and this right from the start?
From the start, obviously the idea of the business came around naturally. Right. So like, it wasn't a business that I was like, yeah, I want to start a skincare brand. It was like a light bulb moment. Yeah. When, you know, Sasha was pregnant with Nala, and then we kind of realized, yo, there's a need for this. But then at the same time, it's cool there being a need for it, but it's like, okay, how am I going to execute this in the right way?
Just before you carry on, I remember when you were thinking of the idea, and I think it was during COVID times, and you rang me and it was like, you messaged me saying something about, you was working on a new thing, and I came to see you at the studio.
Yeah.
And I just remember walking away thinking, Krept, baby product. What? Is he crazy? Like, huh? But then, hearing about the research that you had done was what was making me think, wow, I mean, this guy is just kind of capable of all sorts of things. Because a lot of people just don't spend that much time really getting to understand a plan before they execute it.
Bro, that, you see, like with Nala's baby, the planning, the preparation, I said, I'm gonna put unlimited time into this. I don't care how long it takes, but I'm not going to just out the gate with this and we're just gonna work it out as we go. That was, I've done that already. Do you know what I mean? We've done it. Let's build it, launch, announce, everything. Yeah, let's go. And we work it out as we go. I said, not this time. This time it was the preparation. Everything was important. Like, so down to, I said, all right, the product. Let's start with the product. Let's start with the branding. Before I even talk about what goes into this bottle, how do I want this bottle to look and why? I said, I want something that, looks neutral, that looks this, that. And once we got the way it looked, it was like, okay, we've got the bottle. Now what goes into this bottle needs to be the best. Yeah. So I spent a year and a half just on the formulation. Wow. Back and forth.
A year and a half?
A year and a half. Back and forth in lockdown. So real world, what's that, 4 or 5 years? Yeah. Because I had all the time in lockdown. Wow. But it was a year and a half back and forth in, with the manufacturer. And then even finding the manufacturer. And then it was like, okay, mitigating the risk of that manufacturer. Like, can they, if it was to be big, can they support that? Right. Doing due diligence on that. Just them alone. Okay, are they capable of doing this, like, for real? And, seeing what they've done before and what they're doing now, and can they manage this and this kind of level if we get there? Yeah. Because one thing I didn't want to face is, you're doing well and they can't handle it. Sure. And then now you're faced with a problem. Terrible problem. Yeah. More terrible problems. More terrible problems. Now you're faced with a terrible problem that, is going to be a pain to fix or very difficult to kind of get over. So there was that. So before we even formulated, it was, doing your due diligence on that. Then formulating it and saying, I need the best of the best in this bottle. So that's why it was like every single ingredient, I was doing research and everything. I said, no, take that out. Don't want this, don't want that, don't want that. And that's why it took so long. And obviously a lot of people might have got impatient and thought, nah man, I just need it out. Because they did send stuff and it was like, it was cool, it was fine. Like, you'd probably be happy with it. A lot of people might have been happy with it, but I was like, nah, I'm not, this needs to be perfect for me. Like, in my head, this needs to be the best thing. Right. You know what I'm saying? And it's got my daughter's name on it. This needs to be the best thing. So there was that, and then it was a case of, if I'm gonna do this, I wanna compete at a high level if I'm gonna do it. Right. As well. And it cost us a lot to, develop this and get the brand to where it was, and the testing and, the formulations and all of this stuff. Invested a lot of money into doing that. That's what I'm saying. Like, it was all of this stuff that I wanted to get done before. And I was getting advice from people saying, but you can add all of that later. And I said, no, I don't want to face that problem later. Right, no shortcuts. You face that problem later when you've got hundreds, thousands of units, for example, and the problem happens, you start with, no, let's get it right now. Right. I want to get it right now. Yeah. And at least I can say I gave it my all and I actually put a lot of thought into this now. Yeah. So, there was that, and then it was like, I want to be competing with, the brands that are already, out there, and especially feeling like and knowing like this product is better than everything. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking at this product, I've created something, I'm saying this is better than everything that's there. Yeah. So why can't I should be competing with these guys. 100% should be competing with these guys. For one, I think, yes, my product's better, cleaner, this, that, and why can't I be competing with them? Yeah. And that was my other thought, and it was like, okay, if I am going to be competing with them, I need to do it in the best possible way. Yeah. So that's when it was a thought of, all right, you can use your money and then, do it slowly and kind of And I was like, no, if I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna go in.
Right.
We're going in all guns blazing.
Yeah.
Everyone needs to know about this. I want
Right.
parents to know there's a product here that is a clean alternative, accessibly priced. Do you know what I'm saying? And then I'm seeing other products that are, you know, the equivalent in terms of their ingredients formulation, £20, £30. And we're putting that kind of level of product in a bottle and selling it at like, you know, £5, £6 or whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm like, there's so much reason for us to be able to compete.
Yeah.
And for me, I was like, all right, cool. If we're gonna do that and we're gonna go into that, you know, we want to go into the supermarkets and the retailers and this, it was like, okay, we need to do the investment.
Right.
And do this properly.
Yeah, yeah.
And then not just about money, strategic investors.
Right.
Strategic investment. People that will invest, cool, but that can be a part of the business and that has expertise in fields and places. I do not have that.
Right.
That was another thing.
Yeah.
And it was like, you know, because a lot of people in my shoes might have thought, I've created some sick brand.
Keep it all to yourself.
Keep it all to yourself.
Yeah.
And it was like, no.
Yeah.
This time I said no.
Yeah.
No, not this time. I made that mistake already.
Yeah.
This time I want, you know, everybody that I feel like can add some sort of value to this company to be a part of this. Yeah. So it wasn't just about the money. Yeah. As you know, there was people that was offering us loads of money to all sorts of money to be a part of it. Do you know what I'm saying? And it was like, no, because that strategically didn't make sense.
Doesn't align.
And it was like, I would rather the people that are involved in this that can add tremendous value to be a part of this. Yeah. And that was another thing. Right. And that was the main thing for me. Sure. Do you know what I'm saying? In terms of getting the investment, it was the people that are investing.
Yeah. And I want to really delve into that because there's actually a whole chapter in the book based on one of the characters who, you know, is a consultant, but makes their money by investing in a startup, which ultimately gets sold for lots of money, right? And, you know, what you're describing there about learning from the first experience and thinking, now this time I need to be smarter. I need to make sure that I get investors and people who can add value. Describe the experience of speaking to people about raising money, especially when you've got a sort of a celebrity status, right? Because sometimes there's this stigma that, oh, well, you've got enough money, do it yourself. But for you to be strategic, to think, no, I want strategic investment. What was that experience like? Were you always confident to be able to go to someone and say, look, I've created this thing I think is great. I'd like you to put some money into it. What was that experience like for you?
The experience of it was, you know, to be honest, like, I wanted to put my best foot forward in terms of when I'm asking. Right. Because as well, the people, if I'm asking people to invest in this, I want to make sure that I've got it to a stage where there's a really high chance this is going to work. Sure. So before I even went to anybody with saying I've created this, invest in it, I needed for everybody to see there was a route to market for it. Right. So that's where we got Boots. Got it. So we got the product, the Boots ready before we asked anybody to invest. So at least when people are investing, they can see, okay, you create something, there's a route to market that's bigger than you. Yeah. This seems like it's an investable opportunity. Right. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like that was important as well. Because there's one thing asking people to invest in something and hoping
it works.
It works or hoping. But I wanted to have it in a position where I've got it to the best possible point from where all it needs is the investment and the strategic people to be involved in this to kind of help when this happened. So I think that made it a lot easier because when I'm explaining to people and I'm saying to you being one of the investors and I'm coming to you saying, Frank, Nala's baby, cool, it's great. Yeah. Launching in Boots.
Yeah, it made sense.
Okay, now we're talking. now it makes sense.
Completely.
Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah, and you know, from there, you know, there's so much scope where this can go. Yeah. So for me, it was important that before I asked anyone for anything, I got it to a position where you can see and believe. I wanted everyone to believe in this. Yeah, yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you believe in this the way I believe in this, then we're onto something, innit? Yeah. And that was the thing. I didn't, you know, start that's why we spent so much money ourselves getting it to that point and getting it to a point where we can get into Boots and spending hundreds of grands to do that. Yeah, cool. But we needed to do that if we're saying we want to compete.
Right.
And, that was, I would say, so when it came down to speaking to everyone, I was confident.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I was able to say, we've got this great product. My friends, and people that know me know I'm a driven person. So if I'm gonna do this, they know I'm gonna put my all into it. I'm not gonna be here getting investment from people if I'm not gonna try and really make this work. Do you get what I'm saying? So I can sit there and look you in your face and say, I've done my absolute best, and you could see that there was, a great opportunity here. Do you get what I'm saying? And that's what it came down to at the end of the day. And literally everybody I asked, and I said, look, this is the opportunity. Everyone really.
Were there any doubters? Were there any people that you spoke to about investing in Nala's baby who said, actually, nah, not for me, or they couldn't quite see the vision?
There was a few people that I came to about it, and it was like, nah, not really for me,
right?
Or I don't think so, or I just didn't really make sense to them. There was even like bigger equity firms and stuff that we initially went to at first that was like, comparing it to other brands that was in the space that they just like, nah. I saw this brand tried and it weren't really. It was like, oh, cool, fair enough, but I didn't let that wasn't
to tell you.
Do you know what I'm saying? Because there was so much people that did believe in it.
Sure.
Do you get what I'm saying? Like, and I know there's gonna be people that'll be like, no, maybe we'll see, maybe not this one, next one, and that happened as well.
Yeah.
Some people that said no first time.
Just on the fence, just like.
It was on the fence.
See where it
goes. When they saw when we launched it and then we done the second round.
We're in.
Yeah, I'm in.
Yeah,
do you know what I'm saying? So. It might take that sometimes as well. Do you get what I'm saying? But that's what I'm expecting.
Yeah.
But to be honest, I did not expect to raise the money that quick.
Sure.
Because it was literally everyone. Yes. Yeah. Majority, like 90% of the people that we pitched it to said, we want to be a part of it.
Yeah.
So, I was fortunate enough to have supportive people, and remember a lot of those are my friends.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So. Yeah, so to have that was good.
And I guess investing in private equity is a high risk.
High risk, yeah,
right?
Man.
And that's something that I think some people aren't always familiar with, because it's not something a lot of people do. The most people might do is put money in the stocks and shares or put money in the ISA, but investing in a private company is not something that a lot of people even understand.
There's that, people don't understand it, but then. This is another thing that we thought about, and also whilst getting people that have knowledge in this field, is you can mitigate some risk, financial risk in it. As you know, there's EIS and stuff like that. So making your investment, making your product and your business, so when people are investing it, they get that relief back from the government. So for people that don't understand, it's EIS is like when you invest in a company, you get some of your money back from your tax that you paid from your previous years, and you can offset it against.
It feels good when it comes back.
Yeah, and you get a rebate back from. So EIS, it's like 30% of your money back. So straight away, if you invest £100,000 for easy maths,
it only costs you 70.
It only costs you 70 grand. So you've limited that 30 grand risk, and then there's other risks. Factors that you can add as well. So, if the business was to fail, you get a bit back as well. And there's things that you can do to limit the risk of someone's investment. So it's like when people are investing, it's like I can invest this, but I know worst case scenario, it's really costing me 40 grand.
Sure.
Or 30 grand. If
it's
100
if it all goes wrong.
So there's things that you can implement in the investment process as well to give people a bit more confidence in investing in it and looking at it from that aspect as well. So these are all things, and that's just because we've got strategic people that can help with this and say this is what we can implement to, and prior to that I would never have done that. It was doing it on our own, and that's how important it is to get the right people involved that can help navigate you into the right direction.
Yeah. And so it's interesting you talk about the right people. So, you know, you've raised your investment, and I think you did it incredibly well. You know, I drove to Birmingham, I think it was.
Yeah.
For one of the presentations.
I think it was in Aston, was it?
Aston University? Or
yeah,
was it?
Or the stadium or something.
It was on the campus or something.
Somewhere like that.
I just remember leaving North London thinking, I'm driving to Birmingham to see a presentation. And it was after work, it was late at night, I was in the car driving up thinking, okay, this better be good. You know, I remember walking into the room and obviously seeing all the people who'd come to hear about it. And I was like, I'm impressed. I mean, these were people who perhaps don't look like you and me, you know, all different ages.
Literally.
And I was
elderly to young
yeah,
to
absolutely.
different, you know, backgrounds, countries even.
Literally,
there's people there that
diverse
weren't
crowd.
even, yeah, it was mad. It was
and people who, you know, I was talking to in the room, because, you know, as an investor, you always want to kind of sense check your investment, right? And it's this kind of herd mentality to a degree that if you know someone who's sensible is putting their money into something, you're like, okay, well, you kind of decide to go down that route. But I was talking to a few people, you know, a guy who was a property investor. And I was like, so have you done something? He was like, not really, but, you know, I like this idea. You know, I like Krept, I like Sasha, and, you know, I'm going to give this a go. So I was looking around the room thinking, wow, okay, you guys have done a great job to assemble, you know, all those people in the room. And even at the time when, you know, I invested, I think my claim to fame is I was the first person to invest in Nala's baby, physically putting money into the account.
Yeah, 100%.
There we go. But it was during a time when I was also trying to establish another business, right? And I was thinking, you know, I can either put all my eggs into that basket or I can also support this. And you know what? I made the decision that I was at least going to support you, regardless of whether it's going to work or not. I was like, for Krept to come this far with this idea and do this much work, I'm going to back it. More because of you than anything else, right? Because I was like, I believe in him, and this is my sign of support. Because a lot of the time, people don't put their money where their mouth is.
Oh, mate.
They all support you until the time comes to write a check or 100%. To actually commit. And then it's the, you know what? But I genuinely believe that the only way you make a difference in life is really committing to the things you say you're going to do. So for me, I was like, whatever else I've got going on, I'm going to support this business. And, you know, I'm glad I did. But bringing back to the, you know, conversation around team. So you've raised your money, you've launched, you're making a lot of noise, things are going great. But things aren't always that great in the background, are they? No. I mean, you're talking about your terrible mistakes, some of the terrible issues we had, right?
Yeah.
And so what were some of the challenges or difficulties you started facing once, okay, everyone knows about the business now, it's out here, but in terms of the teams, what were some of the problems that you had?
Yeah, so when we launched, we had enough capacity as a team to launch.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's like we've got it to a place where we've launched and created noise, you know, sales, this, that, and the fourth, but at the same time, everything's happening everything's happening so fast. And, you know, when things are happening so fast, it's like you can crash just as fast if you're not careful. Do you know what I'm saying? And the business got to a point where it was bigger than us.
Right.
And everyone that was involved at that stage, none of us have done that to that scale before at the same time.
Right.
I'm talking about the actual team of the hired people that are working and the actual team. Yeah. This is why it was important to have strategic investment. Because at the same time, as a team, we launched great, but then it got to a point where we needed to make the right decisions. And as a team at the time, we wasn't in we never had the capacity to say, this is right, this is wrong, we shouldn't do this, or things that we didn't even aware was wrong. Because we've not done it to this scale before. Like, you know, between us, we've done things that, you know, have been big and successful. But to the scale and speed that Nala's baby was going at, this was out of our remit. Do you know what I'm saying? And that is so important, that you can identify when something is out of your, you know, And it's so important. Yeah. When it's not in your bandwidth, like you have to make the conscious decision and be honest and be like, this is beyond me. This is beyond us.
Yeah.
You know, we don't try and just wing it. Because one thing I wasn't going to do, especially after, you know, everything I've done prior, I was like, I'm not going to wing it. I'm not going to risk it. And I'm not going to, you know, try to move more steps forward when we didn't have the capacity to do that with the current teams, you get what I'm saying? And that was a thing that was playing on my mind and, you know, but again, luckily, strategic investment, strategic people, people that, you know people. And yeah, you, bro, being one of those people that really, really helped. And I feel like people need to know this, bro. Do you get what I'm saying?
Let's tell them. That's why we're here.
Yeah, no, I feel like people need to know this, like, in terms of, because obviously people, you know, people do a lot of things behind the scenes and people will see on social media and stuff, but they might not even understand to what, you know, capacity you can be involved with stuff in. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I obviously knew, you was obviously one of the first people I even brought a business to, because I just know that you're someone that could give, for one, honest advice, honest thoughts, and, you know, just getting a nod from someone like you as my friend, it helped me on move forward, you know, do you know what I'm saying? And then, yeah, so we're now at the stage where everything's happening super fast, loads of sales, you know, we're going from 400 stores, we started with Boots, 400 stores, Boots have boosted us to 600 stores, boosted us to 800 stores. They're saying we need a new range, so we've just launched the vanilla range has blown up. Yeah. Everything's just like, everything's happening and we're just like, this is crazy, you know what I'm saying? And we're speaking to retailers, as you know, speaking to more retailers. And then we needed to do another investment round. And it was then when we was doing the second investment round where I was, and then at the same time, I was able to express difficulties that I was dealing with within the business and stuff that was happening within the business at the time. And like, I was so frustrated. I was just like what is going on? Like, I need the right people to come in and take steer of this thing, because it can go left at any minute if we continue at this rate, innit? We done the second investment round, and you done a dinner. Yeah, you was like, Krept, all right, cool. I understand what you're dealing with right now, and what you need the right team in place at this stage of your business, because if you don't, what you said? You
hemorrhage.
You will hemorrhage this business, and it will just be as fast as you've got it here, as fast as it will crash. And you've worked so hard, you built something so great, you know, you need the right people to take this to the next level, because you're at that stage. And it's a good problem to have at the same time, in terms of everything's happening so fast, success is happening, sales and this, that, and the fourth. But if you really want this to work, you need to get the right people in place, and you need to do it now. And then, you know, that was the moment, like, literally changed everything for us in terms of the business. I remember you said, you know, there's someone I want you to meet. And you're funny because you didn't really even tell me what he does, this, that, and the fourth. You just said there's someone I want you to meet. And I feel like, I don't know, I think you was doing that for both of our sakes, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, so that, you know, he genuinely would like me and I would genuinely like him. But you sat us next to each other at this dinner. And it's crazy because everyone's, you know, you've done the dinner, everyone's reading off, yeah, I do this, I do that. And then I'm here like, yeah, I'm doing Nana's Baby and this, that, and the fourth. And yeah, he sat next to me, and then, you know, even when it was down to what he said he even said something like, oh yeah, like I haven't done as much as, or something like that, yeah. But I'm just
very
thinking,
humble.
being humble. Like obviously now,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
say he's a part of the team, but he's being so humble. And then I think, I can't remember how I got made aware of like what he actually does and what he's done. And then he started saying some of the stuff he's done. But the things that he's saying, I'm like, bro, that is massive. Like, what? What do you mean? Like, I was a part of this massive this acquisition here, and this company here. And I'm just like, yo, this is crazy. And you've just kept it so humble as well. Like, you didn't say anything. You just kind of left us to figure it out. But then we're speaking, and, you know, and this is what I'm saying is it's key people, man. And if you didn't do that, we would never have met him, who's now obviously become, you know, one of our advisors. But even that process to get him on board, it was a madness because, you know, initially it was, to be honest, it was like getting him to invest and being like an investor. And then he sat down on the investment pitch and, you know, he sat down, and then he was just like, nah, I need to get in with these guys and really, really kind of help them. But then he, you know, said to you, like, do you trust me? And, you know, you said, yes, I trust him. And he was like, okay, you lot come round to my house. I want to meet them, him and Sasha, and kind of see I think he was just feeling us out to see like what kind of vibe we had and if we're, you know, we're willing to work hard and this, that, and the fourth. And then he's invited us to his house, we've gone there, and, you know, he's expressed that, you know, he likes the business and he done this thing. He's like, but, you know, for this to work, you need to lift the bonnet on your business. In terms of lift the bonnet, meaning look at every single component and moving part of your business to find out, you know, what's in the right place, what isn't, what needs to change, and when. And then I'm like, yeah, we need you, man. Like, we literally need you. And then he said, yeah, cool. But he was being really relaxed, and he said, cool. And then he gave us homework and said, I want you to make an article of where you think Nala's baby will be in 5 years, as if it was in the Financial Times. Frank, a man's giving me homework. I'm like, yo, like, like homework. So, but I'm like, you know what? Me and Sasha was like, let's do it, man. Like, and we've done it, like, I think within like a couple of days. And then we sent it. What was the response?
Not good enough.
No, this ain't good enough. Just looks like it should be an OK magazine or a health magazine. Just don't look like the Financial Times. Now I'm like, nah, this is I ain't done homework in years. What's going on?
It's a double homework.
Like,
now.
and it's not even like, you know, at the time it was like, I'm not physically like, you're not getting any, it was just, you do this. And the thing is like, dude, if you want, I'm not pressuring you to do this. And I was just like, no, I'm going to do it now. No, we're going to do it. And we went back, you know, and then we sent it back, and he was like, okay. And he was like, I'm glad you did it. And it was like his kind of, just to see, I want to see the kind of people you are. You know, if I'm saying this is what needs to be done, see if you'll do it, and to see, you know, if you're really, really about this, basically, innit? And it was like, I feel like his kind of version of that. And I think he was probably as shocked as well that, okay, these guys.
I think it was.
I think he was even shocked.
I think he was.
Okay, these guys mean it.
Yeah, I think he was.
And I think from that point on, he realised like, okay, these guys mean it. And, you know, he already started building a relationship. And then, you know, he literally done that, lifting the bonnet of the business, and, you know, was literally going through every aspect, down to the team, down to every individual who's involved, what they do, what they can. And then he, you know, it was just a list of things. And you know, it's so crazy because I'm thinking, I thought everything was kind of fine. And I didn't know but I didn't realize there was so much things we didn't even think about. And I was like, so we need to act on this stuff now. And it was like the team. You need the right team that knows how to do this and that lives, eats and breathes this stuff if you want this business to work. And, you know, it was from that kind of moment where it was like, you know, we need to assemble an amazing team right now. And for me, it was like, okay, you know, I've got Frank, you know, I don't want to say his name.
No, we can, we can just call him the guy.
Call him the
the
guy.
mystery guy.
I don't want to say his name. Yeah, because I know he likes. But yeah, the guy, man.
Yeah.
But he's as well. He at the same time, it was like he was still a bit. He just wanted to. It was like he was helping, and I was like, "Can we get you on our advisory board?" Like, and he was just like, "Chill. There's things that we need to sort out in the business." And we'll get to that, which also showed me his character as well, because it was like he wasn't even saying, oh, I want this. If I'm gonna do all of this, I want this and this. It was just like, no, we need to get the business in a point where this is, you know, we're taking off, and this is there's no settling. Yeah. And that was kind of the vibe that you know he was given, and then he was like, we need to assemble the team, innit? Like the Avengers, basically. Yeah. And then that's when he was like, I've got another person that I would love to be on your advisory board. But I don't know if he, you know, this is quite small for him. But at the same time, they're both at stages where it's not about something being big. It's just about them doing things that they're passionate about. And for him, it was more like he was, you know, he likes me and Sasha, the story, Nala. And it was like, and you know, we built something great, and he just really wants this to work. He doesn't want this not to work for us. So I felt that from him. And then he said, kind of the people that he's going to introduce me to, they've got to feel the same way. And then when he said who he wanted to bring on as the other advisor along with you and him, I was thinking, ain't no way this guy's going to come on our advisory board.
Come, Nala, join the interview.
You going to be quiet? You're going to be quiet.
The big boss has arrived.
Yeah, the big boss has arrived. You get me? But yeah, so. She's got to be quiet. Got to do it about.
Yeah, no, listen.
Yeah, so he said, yeah, I want to get this person involved, and this is another, you know, giant in the industry, done massive brands that we work with every day, and it was like, you know, him doing that, and he's done all of this, and we're about to get into a room with him to potentially get him on our team. And then we met him, and he was like, he was pretty surprised about, you know, he met us, because at first he was like, I'm not really.
I think he was surprised by how close you were to the detail.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's like, as well, I know when people get involved in things like this, they got to really believe in the directors 100%. Because they really got to, you know, mean what they say. And, you know, I think maybe because I'm an artist, rapper, until people get in a room with me, they're really surprised, you get what I'm saying? And he was like, and he met us, and I think he was surprised at how detailed we was, and, you know, how much passion we had about the business. And then he said, all right, I will be involved if we can get this person to help run the operations day to day. And then I realized they need this whole thing to work as a team. Because for them to believe in it, they need to be like, okay, I need to make sure whoever is down on the ground running this business is someone that we believe in that can take this business to the next level. And every single person, you know, has a role in that. So it was like my thing was, and then the person that he wanted to get on board, I was just like, how did you? And it just felt like, how has this happened? Like, all of these people have come at the time where we needed them the most. And it was the same thing. It was like, they're really, you know, busy. This person's already working on this and doing this. So if you meet them, they've got to just fall in love with what you're doing. again, happened again. And then it was like, everybody was just like, we all collectively, we'll do it, we'll be your team. And literally from then until now, like, and it's so crazy because people wouldn't see the behind the scenes. They're just literally going to see the business as it is. But how assembling that team has changed the business, like, I can actually sleep at night. And I haven't felt that feeling in a long time, do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's usually so much stress and this, that, and the fourth, but not. And that's why I say your team is your best investment. Do you get what I'm saying? And it's like, I would rather, you know, get a bigger trusted team and a team that knows exactly what to do and how to do it involved. Whether that means you get a bit less for that, that's fine. Because the value that this team is going to add to this business, it is a value that you couldn't pay for. Do you get what I'm saying? So for me, that experience of, you know, going through that turmoil of everything started great, and then you kind of start realizing, wait, certain things are not under control. Like, this could be a mad crash. Yeah. And it's like, no way did that work. But it kind of goes to show that the way I was thinking in this instant, in terms of getting the right strategic people like yourself and other people, how many other people are a part of this business in terms of strategically, like, not thinking in that way, I wouldn't have the outcome that, you know, we're having now. Do you know what I'm saying?
So yeah, look, I think it's been a roller coaster of a journey for you so far in such a short space of time, and you've achieved so much. You made some announcements recently, and you've got some more announcements to make about where you're going to be going forward.
Yeah. So from a boots perspective, we started in 400 stores. Yeah. Now currently in 800 stores, and we're about to go into 1,500 boot stores in March, which is insane. So we're going to be in like the train stations, airports, and all of that stuff, which is, you know, it's crazy. Like I was like, what is happening here? Yeah. So we're going from 800 stores to 1,500 boot stores. We launched in Morrisons. Just launched in Morrisons. Launched on Ocado, Amazon as well, to just, you know, in terms of just, we just want it to be available kind of everywhere. And yeah, we just announced Tesco's, which is insane.
Oh, Tesco, come on. Round of applause for Tesco's, right?
Yeah, we just announced Tesco's. Still, you know, talking about even further expansion beyond that. So yeah, like, you know, to start off in 400 stores and to now be in, you know, over 2,000 stores. It's like, it's crazy, do you know what I mean? Yeah. And there's one thing doing this stuff, but there's another thing doing it in the right way. Yeah. You know, with the right team, the right, you know, margins, the right back end, and, you know, all of this kind of stuff. And as you know, it's been a roller coaster, but we've got to a place where we've ticked off all of these boxes that, you know, give us the best possible chance of this becoming an amazing brand, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, I think we're just, you know, ready for the next. It's so crazy because she doesn't even care.
No, but listen, this is the reason why we're here. This is the reason why.
She's not even.
Do you know what I mean? Nala, are you aware that I work for you? Yes. You're my boss, Nala. So finally then, what would you say, you know, what's your vision for the future then, as far as the business is concerned?
2 minutes. She's given us 2 minutes.
We've got 2 minutes, guys. The boss has spoken, 2 minutes, and we're wrapping this up.
Cool, 2 minutes. Yeah, so to be honest, I really want us to be, you know, a leading, trusted brand. And I think that's the main thing, trusted. Yeah. You know, to trust that everything that we bring forward with this brand, you know, it can be trusted. It's, you know, clean. It's, the values in it, the value that goes behind it, and all of that kind of stuff. Yeah, man, I feel like we're en route to doing that. You know, and just expanding to different territories and kind of taking the same ethos and taking it to, you know, other places. And yeah, man, I feel like there's still so much room to grow as a brand, as a business. And yeah, man, we just want to do it, you know, in the right way. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like we're on track to do that. And yeah, man, I'm just so grateful to even be in, you know, the position that we're in terms of having a business, you know, doing this. But yeah, man, there's still so much work to do, as you know. Like we're literally meetings, you know, calls, updates, WhatsApp groups, and you know, trying to figure out what's the best thing to do. And you know, that's why I always say, invest in your team. Like getting the best team.
I'm super proud of, you know, how you've grown and developed, and you know how serious you're taking this, and what you're achieving with this. I think is incredible, and the future is super bright. So listen, I'm excited for the journey, man. But again, thank you for being here today, sharing your story, and I hope it's useful to someone watching this. And you know, let's keep going, man. There's lots more work to do.
Big up, man.
Ladies and gentlemen, Krept. Thank you. Yes, Money Ladder.
Money Ladder.
Available to pre-order now on all good book platforms.